Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new friend Laurent Valles Jr. We're here to break down Sacrifice issues 1, 2, 3, and 4, and everything in between. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Doing outstanding. Had a good day at work. It was short because I had class. I'm relaxed and I'm here now.
Hey, and we're keeping it geekly. What a perfect ending to the night. Give us a little bit of a breakdown of who you are and how you got into creating comics.
So my name's Laurent. I'm 32 right now. Started writing comics when I was 18 just because I had a buddy of mine who was like, hey, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And then we started talking with each other, made a small little thing that went nowhere. But it really sparked a passion for writing. That was gonna be like novels at first. Comics came when, I don't remember what year it is off the top, but I know it was free comic book day. I just happened to walk into a comic store. I got issue 0 of Blackest Night. Immediately was interested, went back, got the whole War of Light, binged that and fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, I knew I wanted to write something. Now I know I want to write comics.
Dude, that was such a good issue too, the Blackest Night issue. I remember when I really started getting into comics, I used to listen to a lot of Comic Historian and Comics Explained, and they did a little thing about that, and I just remember how awesome that story was. I went out and got all the issues, and then there was the Brightest Day run, the run that's opposite of it. It was such an awesome experience.
You know, I definitely loved it. I really shifted it from I want to write to comics, and which is good because I'm not that good of a novelist writer. I would have crashed and burned, but here I am doing at least well enough to get to issue 4, so I guess I'm doing something right. I done a webcomic series back in 2017 or 2016. That I did for about 100 pages till money got tight, because apparently no one told me making comics is expensive. But here I am back now, crowdfunding my comic versus just doing a webcomic, and I am about to release the 4th issue of Sacrifice.
So that webcomic, we were talking backstage, and you said you balanced quite a bit of that while you were enlisted. How was that experience for you? Because that was your first start into creating comics and such, right? Yeah, so
War was the name of that series. That I initially came up with the concept when I was 18. When I was in the Army, I didn't join the Army till I was 23. So I wrote it initially. I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I kind of put it down, jumped through story. And I remember my hard drive got erased, so I lost months worth of work. I was like, I'm done. I'm never gonna write again.
Man.
Years later, I was in the Army at that point. I was on deployment. I was like, man, I have all this time on my hands, because if you're not working on deployment, you can't really go anywhere. The movie theater plays old movies, which sometimes I like, most times I don't, but you're still out there for 9 months. I was like, let me get back into writing. So I revisited that, and I was like, oh wow, this was awful. Reworked that, and then got art for it done when I got back stateside. And even now, looking back at it, it's there's some moments oh, I really didn't know how to make comics here. It's not explicitly bad, but there's a lot of nuances that I learned when it comes to writing comics specifically that I didn't know that. So a lot of what I've been doing has been growing pains, leading me to where I am now.
So what was that webcomic about, if you don't mind me asking?
Weirdly enough, it has a lot of parallels to Sacrifice. So there's a guy in a hero society, he has no powers. He's always wanted to be a hero. And he ends up getting his hands on this scythe that, while he holds it, it imbues him with super strength. So I can finally be a hero. At a certain point, after he's holding it for a while, it glows purple. He doesn't know what happens. He goes the next day with another hero he met, and they stop a bank robbery. He gets knocked out. When he wakes up, everyone there is dead, cut to pieces. It's what's going on here? He hears a voice in his head talking to him. Well, he escapes and kind of regains himself. He finds out that Scythe belonged to the Horsemen of the Apocalypse War. Now they have a mind link now, so he can talk to him whenever. The main character, when he's awake, just talk to him. When he's asleep, though, he has full control of his body. And the way I pitched that was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde form their own Legion of Doom, because it's basically him trying to take down the hero society and bring chaos. There's a lot of fun stuff for the story, but then there's a lot that's if I rewrote the story, which I might one day, I don't know, I feel I could do a lot of stuff better in it.
That sounds like such an awesome concept, though. I love the fact that, you know, he finds this scythe and he's imbued with those powers, and then little does he know that when he falls asleep, he's like killing the people he's working alongside with.
He's told that, and then like at that point he's like, I'm not gonna fall asleep. He's like, all right, yeah, good luck with that. And then there's like little couple pages where you see him like for over the course of a couple of days like not falling asleep, but of course you have to at some point, which is the next time that he strikes. And then other villains come into play, and then there's tranquilizers they use to try and keep the main character under. But then I didn't get far enough to really show the back and forth, because you see the villain's like, all right, you can't get rid of me. If you tell anyone about me, you get rid of my scythe or whatnot, fine, cool. When you're asleep, your family's dead. I'm getting them. So it's like I'm putting away where you can't. The main character couldn't do anything about it. He's like, I have to deal with this. I need to figure out a way to get rid of this thing without telling other people. So there's that part of it versus the parts where you see the villain or war in control, which is him gaining villains to help him out.
That is ruthless too, going after his family. Holy crap. We have J. Michael Miller over on YouTube stopping in and throw some fire in chat. Welcome to the stream, man. How are you doing tonight? So tell us how this eventually led into you creating issue 1 of Sacrifice. I had the opportunity to read it, and holy crap, it was such an awesome ride, man. We were talking backstage about it. I loved every bit of it.
So there was a 1 in 4 chance for Sacrifice to have even been made. I wanted to get back into making comics, unlike what I did with it before, because the webcomic I just came out of pocket completely. I was like, I'm making army money, it's fine. It wasn't fine. I made it work, but you know, I got enough out to get to 100 pages. So I was like, okay, so I want to do something crowdfunding, because that way I don't have to come 100% out of pocket for it. I was like, if I'm going to put something out that I know people are going to like pay for, I want it to be like the best I have. I want to make sure I can take care of that. So I have a lot of friends who are also either writers or big into storytelling. I was like, I went through all the stories I even had just basic concepts for and picked the top 4. I gave them to all my friends. I was like, here, give them a ranking of 1 through 4 on most interesting. And then I got like a lot of their input back. I got like 3/4 of the input back before I made my decision. And Sacrifice was actually not the number 1 pick. It was tied for number 2. The reason I picked with that Sacrifice is regardless of whether people liked it or they didn't, when they got like the full breakdown of what the story was gonna be, everyone was like, I've not really seen anything like this before. And that's what I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna go for. Because I could do something where most people voted for the most, but like if it's like a superhero story, which I don't think it was, it's like a superhero story, there's like a million superhero stories. And if I want to get to the point, which I do at some point, give it to a publisher, it's like, okay, well, another superhero story and a sea of superhero stories. But if it hits something that like, regardless of where your taste was, you're like, I haven't really seen something like that specific done before. That gives me some level of unique where I can really sell that. And it's been working very well.
You know, I really loved reading, you know, when I first started with issue 1, I thought a baby was about to get sacrificed. And right away, that's when the action starts. And I loved how you built up the exposition in such a way. The angels coming from above, that big climatic battle. And then this baby being, you know, essentially growing up to be Damien, and if he dies, Lucifer is summoned forth. That was such an intense like concept, man. What was some of your inspiration behind that?
Some of it comes from the same things as like I mentioned with War, where like I like the idea of the main character, where like the main character is simultaneously both the good guy and the bad guy, depending on how that works. Which, I mean, granted, this one is Lucifer has no direct influence right now. But I've just found stuff like that interesting. I was like, okay, I have the seed there. Let me really start growing around it, since I like that concept. And I wrote more and more until I got to a point where I was happy with it, and I started going with it. And yeah, a lot of it just came down from like sitting down in the moment, really ruminating over things, seeing branching paths, being like, what would be more interesting? And I kept going down the path I thought was more interesting, and then here I am.
We were also introduced to another interesting character, May, and that's when we were shown kind of what led to that baby, you know, effectively becoming Damien, who's like half human, half demon. Give us a little bit about May as well, because she had a really interesting role in this book too.
So May, I tried to use as much as possible the state of like the reader, where she gets brought into this world of like monsters, magic, angels, demons, where she didn't know anything like this existed. Like, it's kind of subtly dropped through the series, but never like explicitly said. Where, yeah, there's all this stuff going on, but the majority of people don't know about it. I think that the line I used for it was when they were talking about like horror movies where it was like monsters aren't real. Well, based off what you saw on the first page, you wouldn't think that. You were like, okay, monsters real. But like, okay, of course, if that's a line that's said, and people don't know about that. But on top of using her as a character to bring the reader into the world, it's also learning more about it. So she's questioning multiple things. Like there's the Bigfoot line that they're talking about, which that's probably my favorite line. I love anything that's like stupid. If it's dumb, can I make it dumb or cool? Which is why I got to the point of like, aha, I'll use Bigfoot as my big reveal thing, which started as a small gag. I'm gonna make that a recurring thing, and there will be a payoff with Bigfoot at some point. But yeah, using her a lot too. I mean, she's her own character. She's gonna have a very big part in this next issue. So I can't say too much about her yet. Yeah. But there's probably the most significant bit of lore in the series so far will be dropped next issue and be involving her. So yeah, right now all I can say is that she's the one for the reader to be like, so this is what's going on, and learning the story through her. So with issue 1, are we able to kind of like spoil that a little bit? Oh yeah, absolutely. So when we're introduced to her, she's about to get, it seemed like, effectively, I joked saying lobotomized with an eyeball, but it seemed like she was about to get sacrificed at some point too. I mean, what was going on with that? Was that the same crew that was involved with Damien in the beginning, or? No. So that's a separate, well, I can't say separate faction, but it's like a separate like group right there. Mm-hmm. Where in issue 2, I basically go over, hey, here's the bad guys. I was like I mentioned, if I can make something dumb, I'll make it dumber. I was like, how can I reveal all my villains, but do it in because it's a horror comedy series. And if anyone asks me if I draw, I'm like, I've drawn one thing in the series. It's this stupid looking childish drawing, because I can't draw myself, or else I wouldn't be paying people to. It's this stupid childish drawing of like all the villains' faces and whatnot, and like who's good, who's bad, and whatnot. And it's it's in the book. I showed it to my artist. So I was like, can we put that in there? He's like, I'll just copy it and upload it. Like, that's awesome, dude. So I've done one thing. So that group, they also are working towards freeing Lucifer, but that wasn't specifically with the group from issue 1. That group you'll see more in issue 2, and then they have a big role in 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So how many issues are you looking at having this series, or is that something that can't quite be discussed yet? That is fluctuating. The way I have it planned is I wanted to make it so that no matter what was going on in my situation, I could come at the story and end it at a point where, am I doing well? Cool, I can keep going. Is it doing all right and I can keep continuing? If it's just all right, not too much, then I have like a definitive ending point. I gave myself a few like off ramps of a highway, if you want to say. Mm-hmm. So the shortest the series would be 12 issues. Like I can logically end it at 12. And if it can go on for longer, I have a couple arcs planned that like each have natural ending points where I can be like, I can stop here if I want. So with I mean, we kind of deep dove issue 1 a little bit, but there's a couple other issues too. So can you give us a little bit about issue 2 and issue 3? We don't have to go into issue 4 too much, but speaking of issue 4, anyone that is watching, right here is the pre-launch. Be sure to sign up. We're trying to hit this at least 90. I think you are right now at 83, so we want to hit 90. So let's get that number up. So give us a little bit about issue 2, issue 3. So issue 1, like it ends with, well, there's a scene where it ends with, I don't want to like spoil that moment because I know a lot of people like that. I know. I was like, what? Issue 2, we basically meet the whole main cast. Because Damien has the business card where he has a business called Devil's Advocates where they fight demons and whatnot. Brilliant. And you get to meet the other members of that. Then there's a split that happens where it's like, okay, you see how they kind of operate. He's like, here's where our mission is. We have these 2 missions. So issue 2 focuses on Damien and who Damien go with? He went with Axel, like a Van Helsing. That's one of the things I've pulled from like. I try and do this thing where like if you've heard of it before, in some way, shape, or form exists. So So the Helsings are a thing, or at least he is. I won't really go too much in that family because that's not important right now. So the priority is on them in issue 2, finding out what's going on with that group that almost sacrificed Damien in issue 1. And then issue 3, you get to see more of what that group was planning, because there's multiple aspects of it. Then May and Vampire, which I know I mentioned Van Helsing. Yes, they're in the same group, and yes, they hate each other. Part of some of my favorite scenes to write are with them, because it's just like, I love, like, not to an annoying level, but just bickering, like people who genuinely don't like each other.
Yeah.
It's just, they're really fun to write. But you see May and that character go to someone who knows about magic to teach him about the magic book that May gets in issue 1, which I won't go too much in that. I'll say that little note about the author, that's the person they go talk to is arguably my favorite person to write in the series.
That's awesome. Sounds like such a fun world to write and play in, man. Is it hard not to like go in too deep? I mean, I love like the inspirations you're drawing from and have in this world. Man, it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a lot of fun. Like that's my whole thing for this. Like, writing is my passion. Like, it's not that I want to, like, I could just write a story and put it out there if I wanted to, but like, I wanted to write something I would enjoy writing, have fun, right? Like, I have a blast writing each issue, going over it, sending it to my art team, being like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, I let them put in a lot of input too, and it's like, hey, UJ, there's a lot. UJ is the name of my my artist. Like, what type of stuff you like to draw? I'll see if I can fit that in the issue, and I try and make it something fun for all of us.
See, I love that too. Giving your artists a little room to play is I think really important, right? Because they carry a lot of the designs and a lot of the panel working. So letting them have fun, that has to be not only rewarding to them, but give you like a great product as well.
And definitely, if you're having fun with it, you'll put your all into it. You put a lot more than it's like, okay, you want me to fit in what into 5 panels? Okay, I'll try. Like, yeah. So I try and make it fun.
So what does that relationship between you and the artist look like? How does that typically work with you giving the script and him giving you the art? And also feel free to shout out the rest of the creative team too.
All right, so my artist is a guy named UJ Chen. My colorist is Ichsan Ansari. I'm hoping, I think it's Ansari. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I've never actually had to say it out loud. So if you're seeing this, Ichsan, I'm sorry. Then there's Lucas Catoni, who is the letterer, and then Nicole DeAndrea is the editor. She came on it. When did she come on? I think she came on in issue 3, because I kept running into points where it's like I made a really stupid spelling error. I combed over the script like 80 times, and then like I sent out, I was like, yeah, this is great. And my friend's like, you wrote down the twice in the sentence. And I was like, I wanted to scream. It's like, why?
You got printed?
Yeah, so like nothing has been like an egregious error. There's sometimes I said like I think I used like the wrong letter for the first, like, for a word. I said like it's an instead of the, like something small, that, and then I said like the twice in a different issue. Like, there's been one mistake in issue 1 and 2, and I was like, I hate this, we can't do this again. So I hired an editor, and as far as I know, no one has said a single thing was wrong in issue 3.
I bet no one ever would have caught it unless unless they hear the.
I mean, there you go. If you got that's your telling if you got like a first print, like physical, of Sacrifice issue 1 or 2. You find 2 of those in there. You got that first print.
I did. I read through issue 1, and I thought I combed through it because I wanted to pay attention to detail, and I didn't even notice it.
Oh no, if it's digital, I fixed that immediately. As soon as I found out, I messaged Lucas. I was like, Lucas, please help. And then, he edited it for me. He's like, there you go. I was like, thank you. And I re-uploaded it. So it was only on the first batch of physicals for issue 1 and 2.
Okay, hey, at least you were able to get it corrected digitally, though. No harm, no foul. So, yeah. When did you start using Kickstarter? I know with with earlier stuff you were funding that out of pocket, but when did you start joining that platform?
It was as soon as I knew I was gonna start Sacrifice. Like, I was like, okay, I lived in a bubble. I was aware that there was Kickstarter. I was aware there was Indiegogo. I was like, I didn't have any affinity to anything. I was like, oh, I've backed things on Kickstarter. I've never backed anything on Indiegogo. Let me just go with what's familiar. And I just happened to jump on Kickstarter.
So how's that experience been from you, like with your first campaign to your third one? Because I think that's when I found you and started following from that campaign. So I know usually the first campaign for everyone is kind of their trial and tribulation.
Okay, so the first one, I had a lot of friends and family supporting. Like I just kept putting stuff out there. I had no idea how to really advertise or do anything. It worked out. Second one, a lot of return people, and I don't really remember too much on that one. The third one is the one that sticks out to me the most because I was swamped with stuff in life. I was like, man, I don't know how this is gonna, like, I'm gonna put it out there. I have faith in the book. I think I've done the least interviews of any like campaign from like that third one, and least like posting. It blew up. I have no idea how, still to this day. So people are like, how did you jump from like 175 backers in one book to like 255? Like, I don't know. If I find out, I'll tell you. I have no idea. So I've been very thankful. I'm not sure if it's through Kickstarter or word of mouth or what, but I've been done pretty well by Kickstarter.
So with that, I mean, what can we look forward with issue 4? You know, any big reward tiers or anything that you really want to focus on?
So for rewards, I've had people like each issue, because I put out something like at the end of my surveys being like, hey, what would you like to see in the next campaign? Issue 1 be like, we want art cards. I was like, I don't really know about art cards. I don't really know how that works. Let's go to the next one. Issue 2, what do you want? It's like, art cards. Like, no. And then 3, art card. Like you were like, that's something most people are saying. I was like, you know what, fine. So I bit the bullet, and on the next campaign, there's going to be 2 art cards. I came up with the concept for how I want to do them. So each campaign, I'm going to try and have 2 new art cards for the characters. Like this one is going to be one for Damien and one for the vampire Elizabeth. On top of that, I have a print, which each campaign I'm going to do a thing where like, all right, one of my stretch goals will be, we can vote on the print that's going to be available for the next issue. Mm-hmm. And the one voted for this one was like all the villains like gathered together. So you see like the villains in what they're doing right now. A character named Sin, who I won't go into spoiling, but the first arc is named Sin for a reason. That's all I can say. It's her, and then like a lot of the Dark Order demons, you see them in that print. As far as in the issue, I hinted there's multiple realms. You get to see all of those this issue. I just got the pages back from my artist today for like, I've seen 2 of the 3 realms so far, or 2 of the 3 other realms so far, mm-hmm. And I'm ecstatic to see that colored and get that in people's hands, because even though I wrote that in the script, I was really blown away by like how he did that. I was like, this looks rad. Like, I love this.
That's awesome. I'm getting excited. You're getting me hyped for this, and we actually have the opportunity. Let me pull up. We have. You said it was the cover and then a page of one of the interiors. So this is so beastly looking. Give us a little bit about this guy right here.
See, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'll talk about it. So the mentality I have for the demons in this is like, I like working with my artists and coming up with like really creative designs. Mm-hmm. Some of them I actually have more input. Like that one from head to toe, I designed it, and I try to do that for most of them. And then there's a lot of times it's like, if there's like one demon, odds are that I came up with the design for it, or I worked with my artist too in some aspects by trying to take the lead. I can say that there is nothing special about him. What I like to do is I like coming up with really cool designs. I'm like, wow, that's great, that's memorable, cool. Throw it away. I never want to see it again. And so you'll see him there, and I won't say what happens, but as you see, it looks like a main character's gonna die. They're not gonna die. So something's gonna happen to that thing, and you won't see it again. So there's just, you're gonna see that with a lot of demons, where it's just, you'll see a design like, oh wow, that's cool, and then I'm gonna be on to the next one, because I feel like that makes things far more interesting to look forward to. Like I can come up with like a couple unique designs and then like some generic stuff, but that won't make the series memorable to me.
Mm-hmm. All right, and give me 1 second. Let me remove that, and then I'll go ahead and pull up the other one real quick. This is gorgeous too. So what's going on here? I love this. This is such a gorgeous looking image.
So that's the character who I mentioned before. Is like, okay, spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler alert, but a little artist note. That's my favorite character. So her name is the Broker. Like, you don't know like her actual name. That's just all she's dressed as. And I mentioned that you see the other realms in this issue, and that's hell. This
is demonic looking. I love just like You have the creatures in the back with like their chest opened up, like, you know, man. What was when you were talking to your artist? Like, what was some of the creative process between the two that led to this?
For that one, I gave her pose, which there's a reason for that, which I won't like go into because that involves spoilers for like a couple pages after the one I showed you. I knew I wanted like the eclipse. Like I love anything like with an eclipse look in the back and a volcano. Outside of that, I was like, listen, UJ, you can do whatever you want and make it look cool. And then this is what we got.
No, this
I think
is
I may
awesome.
give a few more instructions than that, but probably not. Typically, I give them like a lot of free reign.
I love like the floating islands with the chains and the skulls and the blood. Like this is like pretty demonic looking. So give us when are you planning on going live? You said sometime in November. Do you have a date in particular, or is it still kind of up in the air?
So it's up in the air. There's some things I need to sort out. Life has been just really busy for me recently. Like I got married earlier this month.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Like, or to be specific, I was married like on paper. Like we got married like in May, but we had the actual ceremony for friends and family. So with that, there's school, there's work. I've had a lot on my plate, so things got pushed back further than I wanted to be. Today was going to be launch day. Now, I'm looking for 2 weeks from today. Worst case scenario, if it has to be, would be 3 weeks from today. I don't want to go past like the first week of November.
And so where can anyone that's listening find you at to stay up to date with when it goes live?
So the easiest way to find me is on Twitter. That's the only like social media place I'm actually active on. I have an Instagram, but if you're looking for me there, you'll find me, but you're not going to see much.
It's so hard to like multitask all these social media platforms.
I need to get better at it, especially because it's like, hey, I'm making comics. Like, yeah, I'm supposed to be put myself out there. It's like, check your social media. I'm like, I'll try. But yeah, right now the best place is on Twitter. Twitter handle is always be evil _ between each words or each of the words, and yeah, that's the best spot really.
And then of course you could always follow the campaign. Right here is the link once again. Be sure to follow to be notified when it goes live, and that's probably the easiest way. So with that being said, I think it is time for us to begin wrapping things up. But before we end things officially, I always love asking a question in particular, and that is for anyone who might be new or even just struggling in the chat right now with creating comics. What type of advice would you offer for them to kind of help them just get started and motivated enough to just start creating their work?
So there's a book I would highly advise to anyone, regardless of what level you are as far as writing comics go. It's The Art of Writing Comics. Like, it's on my little dresser over there. I won't have to run there and try and find it, but it's got a yellow cover, The Art of Writing Comics. And when I started, I didn't know anything. I kept bumbling through things, and my art team was like, hey, can you write the scripts like this? Because I just give them a paragraph and be like, go. That's how you write comics. Not the case at all. Learn the format, learn the basics of it. And something you really need to know, because I've seen some friends struggle with this, is like, at the beginning, like before you really start building up, like you're the only one who's really there. You might have friends and family, but they're not the ones writing the comic. Get your nose down, grind, write your story, improve. Your first thing's never going to be your magnum opus. You like, don't write like a Star Wars double like multi-series thing that's going to go on for like 10 years. Like, because that's write something small. The shorter you can do it, the better. I didn't do that initially with Sacrifice, but I at least gave myself 12, which is like, that's still a lot for a first-time creator. I've been getting lucky. If you can write something like maybe 3 issues, because if you can write a 3-issue story, you can write a 10-issue story. If you're writing a 10-issue story, you can write 30. Like, get your practice in, keep working, regardless of what anyone says. I didn't have many people like believe in me at first, but I'm doing well enough right now. So just do what you think is right, keep working at it, and you'll get there.
Awesome advice, man. Thank you so much. Everyone watching, once again, right here is the link to the pre-launch. Be sure to follow. Hope everyone has an awesome Tuesday night, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.